In today's video, we are having a closer look at one of the most famous skyscrapers in the world. But what makes the Malaysian Petronas Towers so insane? What are some crazy adventures we have witnessed with a tower like the real-life Spider-Man? Or how did they succeed building this insane skyscraper with a solid foundation? Ready to find out? Let's go! The tall, gleaming Petronas Towers are the symbol and pride of Malaysia. The Petronas Twin Towers were much more than just an office complex. They inspired national pride and came to represent Malaysia's entry into the 21st century. Step back in time with editor Chad Merchant as he investigates the development of these magnificent towers. The majestic, towering Petronas Towers are without a doubt the symbol of contemporary Malaysia. They may hold as much significance for Kuala Lumpur as the Eiffel Tower does for Paris and the Statue of Liberty holds for New York. Even though it's hard to believe, this year will commemorate an incredible 23 years since work on a project that would change not only a city's skyline but also the center of a country began. The significance of the role played by the Petronas Towers cannot be overstated. Adventures of the real-life Spider-Man. Alain Spiderman Robert, a French urban climber who has a penchant for climbing tall buildings, scaled to the top of the towers in 2009 using only his bare hands, minus any safety equipment. It took him under 2 hours. The world's computer geeks were more thrilled about the impending introduction of a daring new operating system called Windows 3.1 in 1991 than they were about the Sears Tower being the tallest structure in the world. Mobile phones, the DVD, or even the internet. A 40-hectare property where the Selangor Turf Club previously stood in the center of Malaysia's capital city. In an effort to reduce the city's increasing traffic, local authorities had chosen to reclaim the ground, but in the end, this left a parcel of land in the center of the city that, to put it bluntly, was worth millions. As an internationally recognized landmark, the Petronas Twin Towers symbolize the courage, ingenuity, initiative, and determination, energy, confidence, optimism, advancement, and zest of a nation. Dr. Mahathir Mohamad, former Prime Minister of Malaysia. So what better way to make the most of this priceless land than to erect a massive structure there? Erecting 2 really tall structures there. It was chosen to construct a pair of iconic 88-story skyscrapers to house the offices of the national oil and gas firm, Petronas, in order to symbolize Malaysia's growing wealth and the country's ambition to take a more prominent role on the international scene. The choice was also made to forego the more typical steel framework used in most skyscrapers in favor of reinforced concrete for the superstructure. The justification was that Malaysia had significantly more construction personnel with experience with concrete and that the material was locally accessible. Additionally, it appeared to be significantly more expensive to import the substantial amounts of steel needed for the Petronas Towers. Therefore, even though a concrete skeleton cost about half as much as a steel one, it weighed twice as much. A solid foundation. After developers moved the entire site 60 meters to the southeast of where it was originally intended, excavation began in March 1993. At that location, drilling had revealed bedrock flaws that would have rendered supporting the enormous weight of the buildings a nearly insurmountable issue. As a result, a large foundation was dug, its 21-meter depth easily able to swallow a 5-story building, just a short stroll from a newly determined site. 500 truckloads of soil were hauled away every night at the busiest times of the excavation work. As finance minister from 1976 to 1984, Razali said Petronas had rescued Bank Bumi Putra with an RM2.5 billion bailout in 1985, and again in 1991 when it coughed up another RM1 billion. He said, "This amount could have been used more productively to fund a national pension program for Malaysians, as has been done by a certain Scandinavian country." While supporting a skyscraper that weighs 300,000 metric tons is undoubtedly an impressive engineering feat, pouring a foundation strong enough to support 2 towers of that size required not only extensive structural engineering knowledge but also the largest and longest continuous concrete pour in Malaysian history, and this is a nation where reinforced concrete is used almost everywhere. After 104 concrete piles for each tower were sunk into the ground and covered by a 4.6-meter thick concrete raft. Each tower needed a massive foundation consisting of a forest of deep piles driven into the bedrock. Concrete was continuously poured into the foundation raft for an astounding 54 hours, with a truckload coming every 2.5 minutes as per schedule. It took a whole year from the start of the excavation to the completion of the substantial foundation. The towers may finally start to ascend now toward the sky. The tower's top height in the original plans by lead architect Cesar Pelli was 427 meters, just 15 meters short of matching Chicago's Sears Tower, the tallest structure in the world at the time. When the Prime Minister of Malaysia realized how close it was, he pressured the designers and engineers to find a way to increase the height of the towers so that Malaysia would be home to the highest structures in the world. Cesar Pelli once said, "The desire to reach for the sky runs very deep in the human psyche." That statement speaks to Pelli's amazing career as an architect who built some of the tallest buildings in the world. The height of the structure was increased to over 450 meters despite the lack of additional floors, taking the title away from the United States for the first time since the erection of New York's Empire State Building in 1931. Another outlandish choice was to assign the building of each tower to a different builder and, in fact, to two distinct countries. The consortium for Tower 1 was led by the Japan-based Hazama Corporation, and the consortium for Tower 2 and the Skybridge, the unusual two-level structure that would connect the two buildings roughly in the middle, was led by the South Korean construction giant Samsung Engineering and Construction. For the two construction teams of the twin buildings, thousands of Malaysian and foreign employees were enlisted, and the race was on. There was obviously a sense of competitiveness among the teams to determine whose tower could be completed first and whose would be considered the greatest. In the end, the debate about which tower was the best may have ended in a tie, but there is no doubt as to who triumphed in terms of speed. The South Korean team finished ahead of their competitors by around a week, despite having not just a tower but also the Skybridge and even starting construction a month later than the Japanese team. The stainless steel cladding, which is made up of about 83,500 square meters of stainless steel extrusions and 55,000 square meters of laminated glass, was installed to the facade as the towers continuously climbed higher and higher. In large part, this was done to realize Pelli's vision of the Petronas Towers as a multifaceted diamond gleaming in the sun, bridging the gap, setting the crown. A brilliant, soaring emblem of a nation ready and eager to ride the crests of its favor and fortune recklessly into the new century resulted after 37 months of tenacity and persistent, round-the-clock hard labor by thousands of Malaysians and hundreds of foreigners. Unfortunately, the Petronas Towers' title as the highest structures in the world was short-lived. Taipei 101 assumed the top position in 2004, but its reign was virtually similarly brief as it was eventually replaced by Dubai's Burj Khalifa in 2010. Intriguingly, given how quickly construction methods are developing, it is expected that the Petronas Towers won't even be among the 10 tallest structures by the time Malaysia learns whether or not it will meet its stated goals in the year 2020. In fact, it's predicted that the Twin Towers, which were once the tallest buildings in the world, will be ranked 27th by 2020. Bollywood star Shah Rukh Khan, who was shooting Dawn 2, strolled into a shopping mall here. "I call Malaysia my home. The people are very sweet," Shah Rukh told his screaming fans. The Petronas Towers have appeared in the backdrop of many West movies, like they were famously featured in the 1999 movie Entrapment and The Amazing Race. Many Bollywood songs and movies also were shot there, like Hum Ras. A major chunk of Dawn was filmed at different locations in Malaysia, including Pulau Langkawi and the Petronas Twin Towers. Cities continue to place their hopes in the recognizable super building that will identify and energize both their skyline and their residents as skyscrapers rise higher and higher. But never before have a building, or in this case, two buildings, come to so powerfully represent the hopes and capacities of an entire country as have these twin skyscrapers, a gleaming example of Malaysia. What are your thoughts on this? Let us know in the comments section down below. If you enjoyed today's video and found it interesting, then make sure to leave us a thumbs up And do not forget to subscribe to our channel and click on the bell icon to be always updated with the most exciting content as soon as it's uploaded. Thanks for watching. See you again soon in another video.